We're going to go ahead and get started here. Welcome everyone to our virtual open house for Heathwood Hall. My name is Jessie Garlinghouse. I am the Director of Admission and Financial Aid here at Heathwood. And this is actually my first year hosting this event as I am new to this role. Prior to joining the admission team here, I served as Director of Extended Learning. So I have been on Heathwood's campus for several years, overseeing our programs, working with families, and I am delighted to get to share my love for Heathwood with families and to welcome you all today. I am joined by Chris Hinchy and Suzanne Nagy. Chris is our head of school, and Suzanne Nagy serves as assistant head for advancement and enrollment. So I'm going to let each of you introduce yourselves. Chris, let's start with you.
So Jessie, thanks. I'd like to welcome everyone who's joining us. As she said, I'm the head of school. This is my 7th year in that position, 9th at the school. I came down here from Connecticut after working at 2 boys' boarding schools for 22 years, where I was a science teacher, a basketball, baseball, and cross-country coach, and a dorm parent, and also a dean of students and a dean of faculty. Joining me here at Heathwood, my wife has moved to Columbia with us, and I have 3 boys who are at Heathwood: a senior named Ryan, a freshman named Jack, and my youngest is named Will, and he is in the 7th grade. Suzanne.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Suzanne Nagy, and I'm the Assistant Head of School for Advancement and Enrollment, and I'm delighted that you're here with us. I am a Heathwood lifer, so I've spent more days of my life on this campus than anywhere else. This year started my 20th year working at Heathwood, and my husband Greg and I have 2 children. John is a junior and Anna Reed is in the 8th grade. And I think I have the best job in town. I get to work with all different kinds of people and students and families to advance the school. And I bleed plaid. I love this place. Thanks for having me.
Thank you both. So over the course of the next hour, we are going to talk a little bit about Heathwood Hall, our curriculum, our programs, our people, give you an idea of what makes this place so special. We'll watch a few videos so you can actually have a little video introduction to some of our leaders here on campus. And then we'll end with some of your questions and an idea of where to go from here in terms of actually applying for admission. So Suzanne, I would love to start with you since, as we all just heard, you have spent more days on this campus than not. Tell us a little bit about the history of Heathwood Hall and give us an overview of how a school this size serves children ages 2 through 12th grade.
I'd love to. So Heathwood Hall was established in 1951, and that year is important to us because that is the founding of our great school. We were established by the Upper Diocese of South Carolina, and the school actually was originally in a mansion on Heathwood Circle in the center of Columbia near Divine Street. And once the school outgrew the size of the mansion, we had more students that we could serve in the house. The Heath and Manning families graciously donated the land that we're on now off of South Beltline so that we could continue to grow the school. We have 122 beautiful acres. We have 5 natural habitats, and we have this amazing green space on our campus that allows for us to build incredible facilities and to really have space for students to grow and move and to learn. That's both beautiful and certainly inspiring. We have 4 distinct divisions on campus. Our early childhood division is made up of 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, and 4-year-olds. And that is a full day program for us. We believe that children are ready to be in school and with their friends and teachers learning. And we have 2 teachers in each classroom in the early childhood division so that we can have great student to teacher ratios in small classes so that the students can blossom in their thinking. Lower school for us is made up of grades the kindergarten through the 4th grade. And in lower school, we also have 2 teachers in every classroom. As we continue that academic piece as a school, we want to make sure that we're offering great challenge for those students who are bright. And we also want to have extra hands in case we need to remediate or encourage skill development because we know children develop at different ages and stages. Middle school, my favorite age to teach. Middle school for us begins in the 5th grade and goes through the 8th grade. And they're ready for more challenge and responsibility. And that's why we include the 5th grade in our middle school. And we also want to make sure we're challenging students. So in the middle school, beginning in 7th grade, there are some opportunities with regard to math and world language that allow a student to earn credit for upper school as they move through those courses to prepare them and set them up for the more advanced placement classes that we offer in upper. And in upper school, those are grades 9 through 12. We have year-long classes, semester classes, all manner of advanced placement classes. There is plenty of challenge. It is absolutely a robust and rigorous academic curriculum. But it's also a great way to offer balance with their growth and development. Upper school kids need that too, as well as the push and challenge. And we're really proud of our students and how they live both academically to be the best that they can be, but also within our honor code, which is part of our tradition of how we live with integrity. And Jesse, I think the last thing I would add about our school is the Episcopal tradition of our school and the nature of our school. We very much value the dignity of other people. And I really think it informs the way we treat one another and talk and communicate with each other to have that Episcopal tradition. We have chapel once a week. And so we learn to live in community that way, and the way that we respond and react to each other is important to us. So I hope that gives you a little brief overview of the school.
It does. Thank you, Suzanne. And if all of our participants were here on campus with us, one of the first things we would do is introduce them to the division heads, the leaders of each of those divisions, and so they could hear a little bit about each division from those themselves. So we're actually going to cut to a short video so you can at least see and hear from those people before we return.
The Early Childhood program at Heathwood Hall is hands-on and exploratory. We have 122 acres that encompass 5 different habitats, and we take every advantage to get outside and go for nature walks, to garden in our EC garden, to explore the insects and the bugs and the life that we can find on the campus. So once the children leave the early childhood program, they join our lower school program in kindergarten. And I think the thing that really sets our lower school apart is the fact that we have part-time associates in each and every one of our classes. And by having that much adult contact with the kids, it really helps us be successful at establishing those relationships and making sure that our students are well known. So we have our rigorous academics, and we have our opportunities for getting outside and developing them physically, but we also can pay special attention to their social, emotional, and spiritual growth and well-being.
So the approach to middle school at Heathwood is all about supporting students through the adolescent time frame. We embrace all of that awkwardness and difficulty and just love the kids through it. Because middle school can be such a stressful time and they're learning so many things and changing in so many ways, our Mindful in the Hall program through advisory each week is really a signature program for us, where students are led through mindfulness activities and breathing exercises to help them manage some of those new stressors that they experience during the middle school day. I love having 5th grade as a part of the middle school because it's developmentally appropriate. Students in 5th grade are ready at that upper elementary level for some new challenges, and they're ready to be a little bit more independent.
One of the things that I think is just a real hallmark of our program is the sense of community that kids have here. Our class sizes are small, typically no more than 15 students, and so kids have a voice. They know their teachers well, their teachers know them, they feel safe and comfortable, they enjoy being at school, and when you feel those things, then you're willing to take more risks and you're willing to stretch farther. The students at this school value success and they value doing well, and so they take their work seriously, and yet it is not a place where people are walking around like they have weights on their shoulders. They enjoy being at school. The kids are involved in clubs and activities. Everybody's involved in service here. Kids are traveling. They're giving back in so many different ways, and they have a voice at the school. But I want them to feel like not only did this school prepare them to go far afield, but also that they always have a home here at Heathwood years after they graduate.
And I hope you all enjoyed that short video. All right. So we heard from our division heads, and I'll just remind Suzanne and Chris, they're able to start their videos. Great. We heard in that short video from our division heads about all the amazing things that happen on our campus between 8 and 3. But Chris, you have a background in boarding schools, and you've really helped us all realize that there's so much potential outside of the traditional school day. Can you speak a little bit about some of our extracurricular opportunities, athletics, and the other ways in which we really develop those capacities in our children?
Of course. So when I visited Heathwood, one of the things that attracted me to the school was the engagement of the adults in the afternoon activities with the kids. And so, I think that those of us in education kind of recognize, and I think, certainly all the parents who are watching right now kind of recognize that the development of a young person isn't linear, right? If you've helped your child do some algebra recently, or maybe you're young enough to remember doing algebra, remember a constant slope. A child's growth and development doesn't look like that. And certainly our students are challenged during the day, they acquire new skills, and they're in touch with, highly qualified teachers and instructors. But the afternoon presents an interesting opportunity for kids to really kind of intensely engage in an area that they're particularly passionate about. So for some students, that may be athletics. That was one of the areas where I really spread my wings. For others, it might be the arts. We have an outdoor ropes course, kind of an outdoor leadership program called Peak. We have kind of vibrant, kind of what I call academic extracurriculars, things like mock trial or robotics, or the youth in government, sometimes called YIG. And I often tell parents, and I feel this way authentically, that students experience kind of true success and failure in some of these activities in the afternoon, right? If you put in the hard work, that you made that shot, you improved your time. You made that brushstroke that really brought that painting to life, or you nailed that line. Just yesterday, about 100 adults were sitting on the lawn in the front of our campus, watching students engage in an outdoor Shakespeare play, and then I was amazed at the students' ability to recall complicated dialogue, the challenge, and also the idea of mastery gives students great confidence. So I think these activities in the afternoon, which we recognize as part of their day and is an important consideration in the balance of the day as we balance what they're doing during the class day and then later at night, is really an important part of their development. And I think when students can engage in something they're passionate about and experience success, they then can expand their wings in other areas where maybe the growth has gone as well or as quickly as they might have liked. But we really try to see down the road, 10, 20 years, how can we equip the students with the tools to be successful in a journey that has some bumps with lots of successes at the same time. And that's really why I love the afternoon program at Heathwood Hall.
I would love for everybody to see some of these programs in action. We have a video to show you the sports program, Peak, and extended learning. So we'll show you that now.
Athletics in general mimic life. It gives you the ability to problem solve. It forces you to work with other people and to analyze a problem, be able to use creative problem solving to find a positive solution. Our coaches do a tremendous job of empowering our kids to be able to make their own decisions and be able to deal with negative situations that may arise and then look for the opportunity to turn that into a positive. We want to create really competitive and athletic and dynamic athletes, but we do that while focusing on making sure that we're building quality people. We want them to be quality students, and we're going to do what we can in athletics to make sure that we're pushing that as well. The biggest impact that I want to have is on them as a person, and the relationship that we've built, if that carries on past the time while they're on this campus, that has the biggest impact for me.
The PEAK program is based on 4 foundational principles. We base our programs on environmental education, environmental stewardship, wilderness exploration and adventure, and leadership development. And each of those principles informs and initiates any of the other 3, which is really kind of cool. And we're lucky here at Heathwood to have lots of outdoor space. We have several different outdoor venues that allow us to paddle canoes and kayaks and paddle boards in the pond, or climb on high ropes courses out at Adventure Base Camp, or hike or bike around the Weston Trail that encircles the campus and goes for about 1.5 miles. And not only do they gain confidence in themselves, but they gain confidence in each other because they see each other on the ropes course or in a boat or on a bike. But that is the thing that excites me the most with this program.
One of the great things about our after-school programs, we serve kids early childhood, lower school, and middle school with all sorts of fun enrichment activities, from soccer to arts and academic classes, in addition to Afternoon Express and the Thought Studio, which gives kids a place to do homework, have some fun with their peers, and get some unstructured outdoor playtime. One of the advantages of our after-school program at Heathwood is several of us are full-time here at Heathwood, and that gives us time during the day to connect with the counselors, the administration, and the teachers to make sure that we're really supporting the kids in a consistent way. It's just great to be able to give parents peace of mind that whether they need a longer day for their kids here at Heathwood, or something comes up and they just need to have some extra care for the afternoon, that their kids are in good hands with people who know and care about them and who are committed to providing a great experience.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So we just heard a number of leaders, the division heads and those after-school athletic and PEAK people talk about a child's journey and experience here on campus. And Suzanne, I want to return to you because you experienced this as a student and a teacher and a leader, and now as a parent as well. And so can you just talk to your experience in the way in which the educators here partner with families and kind of usher children through that journey?
I'd love to. So I think 2 words that come to my mind for every student, no matter where they are on their path, is that the importance of the journey and the importance of the joy in that journey. We are intentional about creating experiences for kids that are really meaningful to help them fully develop. And we think a lot and often about what it feels like to be a student at Heathwood. What does it feel like to be a parent here? And we're always accepting feedback to make tweaks and changes because we want the experience to be great in addition to the academics. Wellness is important to us. Emotional, social, emotional wellness is all very important to the experience that a student has. And so to make sure that we do a good job with that with our students, we have a robust advisory program in both the middle and upper schools. We have 3 full-time school counselors on campus to help with a number of issues or support systems. Just being there for kids, extra adults, and hands-on is helpful. Because we do have such a strong academic program, we also offer an academic achievement program that might help students as they navigate their learning. Early childhood and lower school have a program called Responsive Classroom, in which students are greeted by name each morning. They get up, they have a chance to move around, they really get to know each other, because when you're living in community with other people, it really does affect the way that you treat and talk to people. And that's important to the culture of the school for us. We also know that in the world that we live in, often it's very harried and hurried, and that we just need to take a moment sometimes to take a deep breath and to settle into the being in the present. In middle school in particularly, we embrace that awkward time for students. And so we have a program called Mindful in the Hall, which is a mindfulness program for middle school students. And I love this program because it teaches you the basics, right? Before you go shoot a free throw on the basketball court, you have a little system and routine. Maybe you bounce the ball, take a deep breath. We want you to apply that to when you take a math test. Put your pencil down, take a deep breath, read the whole test. All of those things cross over in different ways, and that's important. But because we have 2-year-olds through 12th grade, we know that we have a unique opportunity to affect change in students. And so the Episcopal nature of the school is important to us. We have 2 full-time chaplains on campus. We are a college preparatory school. Our kids go to the most competitive 4-year schools in the country. And so we have 2 full-time college counselors to help families navigate that journey, which is an important and exciting one. I'm getting ready to go through it, and I know Chris is going through it right now. We believe in service to others over self. So we have a dynamic service learning community service component that requires community service hours for middle and upper school because we want to make an impact and make a difference and transform the world. And then for our younger students, we have a great extended learning program after school. That 3 to 6 time is really an important and valuable time for children. And then the summer is a great time to have fun. So we have a great summer program as well.
Thank you, Suzanne. So I think we've heard quite a bit about a number of things Heathwood does to support the whole child. It's a very holistic program that has many offerings, but Chris, I'm sure over the last 18 months, you've discovered that there is more to leading a highly effective and successful school than just the academics and the extracurriculars. Talk to us a little bit about the pandemic and how you've led this school through the last 18 months.
Well, thanks, Jesse. To say the pandemic has been a challenge, would be a gross understatement. It has been kind of an enormous challenge, but we have used a couple of perspectives to really guide us as we make decisions. One, I think there would be this tendency to think that we're really dealing with just disruption here on campus, but in reality, our families are experiencing disruption for their entire life, right? I mean, every part of their day has been disrupted by the pandemic. So as we make our decisions, as we consider protocols and guidelines, we've really thought deeply that this is, in a lot of ways, a psychological challenge, not just a kind of physical, logistical challenge. And so one of the ways to help people kind of manage a psychological disruption is to communicate frequently, to communicate transparently, to give people time to process changes in protocols and our decisions, and to be available to answer questions. And we have made ourselves very available, and we've also been very nimble to change whether conditions have changed or whether we made a decision that we have thought longer about and reflected on and have decided to kind of pivot in a different direction. Resources are important. We have 2 full-time school nurses. They have been an invaluable resource as they have helped guide our decision-making process. As we've done contact tracing, which is incredibly time-consuming. Our families have been so understanding when we have a positive case in the classroom and the nurses launch into action. It might even be Saturday night at 8 o'clock, and they kind of participate in this contact tracing. We are a member of SAIS, which is the Southern Association of Independent Schools. We are also a member of NAIS, the National Association of Independent Schools. And those organizations have been amazing resources to see what other schools are doing, what recommendations are. Obviously, we're following South Carolina DHEC, we're following the CDC. All of those have been great sources of guidance. But we've also constructed a health or a medical advisory team made up of medical professionals from the Heathwood community, doctors, nurses, specialists, who have a hand on the pulse of where the pandemic is. And we have used them to guide us and to bounce questions off as we make decisions. This has been difficult. And then the last part is that really there are these 2 huge competing interests. One is our concerns for safety, right? This is at the forefront, right? parents, administrators, teachers, even students are fearful, right, of their safety and are they going to stay healthy? Obviously, vaccinations have helped, and our school is doing really well. In our upper school, 87% of our students are vaccinated, and in 7th and 8th grade, 83% of our students are vaccinated, and we have close to 97% of our faculty vaccinated. But this balance between safety and return to normalcy, right? And this is where there's a lot of nuance and gray. And I enjoy being at a small school with bright people, with understanding and supportive parents who have allowed us to really live in that gray area and make responsive decisions to what the environment's presenting at that moment. But that's a long answer, Jesse, but it really has been a long journey. We've learned a lot about ourselves, but the Heathwood community has done amazingly well, and we still have had no on-campus transmission for the entire pandemic, which I would not have taken that bet, but I'm really proud that we're able to say that.
That's awesome. And yes, I would wholeheartedly agree with all the things you've shared about balancing the safety and also our program. And in our next video, we're excited to be able to show how we have been able to host a number of our signature events safely through the pandemic, particularly last spring, when a number of our exhibitions of mastery are on full display. Exhibitions of mastery are a big part of the Heathwood curriculum. It drives the way we teach and inspire kids to think, to solve complex problems. And so in this next video, you're going to see a lot of masks. You're going to see a lot of outdoor events and maybe some old footage that give you a good idea of some of the things our kids look forward to each year in these exhibitions of mastery. So let's cut to our next video.
At Heathwood Hall, we are architects of learning. We think about the skills and knowledge students need to be successful in this world, and we plan backwards from there. Our program is intentionally designed so that day after day and year after year, students are developing the confidence and competencies they need to transform and impact a dynamic world. Exhibitions of mastery are opportunities for students to solve a complex problem by applying the knowledge they have constructed over the course of the unit or year. There is often an element of research, opportunities for collaboration, and the application of feedback, reflection, and of course the chance to present in front of the community, developing confident communicators. Such sophisticated work is made possible by the deeply engaged teachers who are masters of their discipline and who foster strong, trusting relationships with each student in their class. Our students attend some of the most competitive four-year institutions across the country. When we hear from our alumni, they often credit the rigorous projects and presentations they accomplished along their journey at Heathwood Hall with preparing them well for all the challenges and opportunities of college and beyond. Visit us at heathwood.org to schedule your tour today.
Chris, that video showed us a little bit about exhibitions of mastery and how students experience their learning. But one of the things we know is that students often learn in places outside of the traditional classroom setting. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about those experiential learning opportunities, particularly our upper school program that we call Winterim, and how that really helps prepare students to live beyond the walls of Heathwood Hall and to be ready for college and what comes in the next part of their lives.
Yeah, the programs at Distinction at Heathwood Hall are one of the things that attracted me to Heathwood. My first 2 years here were as the upper school head, and senior exhibition, which you just heard about, was one of those projects that I found so impressive. Another program is Winterim. In Winterim, the upper school kind of suspends traditional classes for a week in the first week of March, and students have an opportunity during that week to either kind of organize an internship. My son actually did an internship at the Columbia Airport, which was incredibly informative. They have a chance to participate in an intensive on-campus week-long class, which allows them to really kind of delve into a specific topic with an instructor. Or there's usually travel opportunities that range from kind of regional day trips, like a week of regional day trips, to a domestic trip. We could have students traveling to Death Valley, or an international trip. 2 years ago, I traveled with students to Japan. We've also had students do college trips, service trips. There's a whole host of things that can go on during Winterim. And what our alums say about Winterim is that it really broadens their perspective of the world, right? I think when you're at a small independent school, sometimes your world can seem small. And though Columbia is a growing and thriving city, it doesn't necessarily have everything that a large cosmopolitan city that you might see in a New York or a Paris or a Tokyo. And so to get our students out and experiencing the world, they're also on these trips with students who might not be in their normal friend group, and also with faculty members who maybe they haven't had as a traditional instructor. And so that idea of kind of learning about the world and forming new relationships and having these kind of exceptional experiences with which to compare your previous experiences is one of the ways in which learning happens. I was having a conversation with a colleague yesterday and recalled a young lady who had done one of her Winterim trips in a Spanish-speaking country, and relayed that the Spanish she had learned in class, she ended up having a conversation on a hillside with a coffee bean picker, really talking about their life, and she would never have been able to do that somewhere else, and had a unique perspective. We also have trips in the middle school where we kind of slowly ascend a ladder of longer trips where they have a one-night overnight in 5th grade and build up to a 4-day overnight to Washington, D.C. as 8th graders. Certainly in the last year, some of these trips had to be examined, and we didn't travel with as much kind of robust rigor as we usually do, but we're hoping to get back to some normalcy soon. And we also participate in a number of field trips in the lower schools. So one of our goals is to take the education that they're receiving in the classroom, the critical thinking, the perspective gathering, the critical dialogue, and then to have them get off campus, whether it's locally in Columbia or whether it's internationally, as a way to see some of those things that they're learning in class in action. And also, we want our students to be citizens of the 21st century. And in order to do that, they need to get off campus and see and experience in the world. And it ends up being one of the greatest growth opportunities they have here while they're on the Heathwood campus.
Thank you, Chris. So I want to get to a few questions that were submitted ahead of time by some of our participants today. And I'm also going to just share a reminder that if any questions have come up thus far, or if any do come up, you are welcome to use the chat feature on YouTube to submit your questions. We'll hopefully have some time here at the end. So our first question is, or the one I'll address first, since it's one of my favorite topics, is about food. The question is if lunch is provided here at Heathwood, or if students can bring their own lunches. Suzanne, do you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, let me take that one. It's so good. So Heathwood contracts with a company called Flick, and Flick provides for us in our beautiful dining room a full-time chef, Chef Jim, who's on campus with us to provide lunch. And while lunch is not required for early childhood children, most purchase it. It is required for kindergarten through 12th grade. And the reason that we love Chef Jim and Flick is because they provide an amazing lunch for us every day. It is really good. There's a hot bar, a salad bar, sandwich bar, panini machine, homemade soups and desserts and ice cream. And so there is plenty to choose from, and it is delicious. But I think one of the things that I like about the lunch program, just as much as the food, is that we really use it as another opportunity to teach. We talk with our athletes about making healthy choices and how you might need to eat more protein before a big game. We talk with the children in the younger grades about eating a rainbow and making healthy plate choices. We give adults an opportunity to be in the dining commons to serve as volunteers and to help us with the food distribution for the children. And so it's just a neat way to teach children how to socialize, how to clean up after themselves, how to ask for more. You think about that as a skill. May I please have some more chicken? Is a great opportunity to learn to advocate for yourself. And so we love the dining commons, and lunch is a bonus. I love that. So I tell parents all the time on admission tours, you never have to pack a lunch again. And kids wear uniforms. It's like the greatest gift ever. Blue, green, or white, and you don't have to pack lunch. It's like a mom and dad's gift.
Totally. And Suzanne, I also add on tours, it's good when the adults in the community eat it too. So there it is. Another question that came up was about safety. And Chris, I know you've spent some time reflecting on this over the past few years as we've really developed our program. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things people do on campus to know their kids are safe and what you've put in place?
Yeah, so safety is a huge priority at Heathwood Hall. Yeah, obviously, we're aware that when families choose an independent school, one of the primary reasons, usually in the top four, is safety. And so there are a number of different ways to look at safety. Some are more overt. We have a security guard at the front gate. We have a Richland County deputy, an SRO, who's here every day the school's in session, kind of walking the campus, knowing the administration, speaking with the kids. He really has a presence here, and I mean that figuratively and literally, that I think keeps us safe. We have, 2.5 athletic trainers. We have 2 full-time nurses. I think you'll learn kind of in a covert way, communities are safe when students and adults are known. When we have 3 counselors, as Suzanne had mentioned, we have an advisory program. We have small classrooms with 15 students, usually in a classroom where teachers and adults know these students, and students also have conversations with our adults. How are they doing? How is the campus seem? What is the health of our community right now? We also train. We use an app on our cell phones called Punch Alert that allows us to notify each other very quickly about things that are going on campus. We have annual training, whether it's AED and CPR training, whether it is intruder training, whether it's stop the bleed training, whether it's just general health and safety training. Frequently we'll meet and discuss kids who may have allergies to kind of bee stings or nuts. And so that we're very aware of those members of our community who might be in distress, if exposed to the wrong agent at the wrong time. I think independent schools are safe because of this web of things that we have. 1, we are a small school and the students and adults are known. 2, we go through a tremendous amount of training each year to make sure that we can respond as quickly as possible to those things that present themselves. And 3, we have a web of like a security system that allows us to communicate quickly. And we have kind of professionals here on campus. And typically every 2 or 3 years, we have an audit that allows us to kind of reflect on how safe we are. But this is a very safe environment. My 3 kids are here. And one of the things I love the best about the Heathwood campus, which was the intriguing thing, was when I took a right off a bluff and drove down South Beltline. It's neat that we are kind of within sights of the city. You can see Williams-Brice and you can see the skyline. But we're also 6 miles outside of the city. And we're in a huge green space with 23 buildings and 120 acres. And there's also a certain safety in that also, where we're kind of not really in suburbia, or we're not really rural, and we're not really urban. We're kind of somewhere in between, and it really is a nice, safe environment.
Thank you, Chris. While we give our participants today a chance to ask any questions in the chat, Suzanne, you mentioned something that I do get a lot of questions about on tours, and that is uniforms. So our students do wear uniforms beginning in the early childhood 2 class, although our 2, 3, and 4-year-olds only wear uniforms on our chapel days and special event days. Beginning in kindergarten, students do wear uniforms every day. If you visit us on campus, you will see there are a number of options for uniforms. We really do want our kids to feel comfortable. We just believe that it teaches them a sense of discipline, and it allows them to focus on things other than what they're wearing each day, just kind of removing that stressor from their minds, so they can focus on their relationships, their schoolwork, and all the other things they're doing that you heard about today. So Chris, unless there are any other questions that pop up here, actually we did get one. So we have when several schools have moved to dual enrollment for college credit. Can you explain why and how Heathwood is different? So yeah, go ahead.
I'll take that question. So, we do not have dual enrollment with a college. I think some of the ways that we kind of increase rigor, one is through, is one of the ways that most schools do this is through a kind of robust offering of AP classes. That we also have a unique perspective, which is we think that the majority of those AP classes should be kind of engaged in during your junior and senior year, that the majority of students truly are not ready to kind of handle college work their freshman and sophomore years. Also, as a small school, we're able to kind of introduce interesting, thoughtful, and creative electives that allow students to kind of challenge themselves, sometimes at the honors level, sometimes at just a level that allows them to kind of expose themselves to new curriculum. So though we have not chosen to pursue a due enrollment, which I know a number of public schools have gone in that direction, we feel that our curriculum, along with some of our programs of distinction and our honors science research program, would be another area where students who are not just taking an honors curriculum in science, they're also participating in a 2-day-a-week independent research project guided by faculty, and then they present within our community and outside of our community as an amazing growth opportunity. And I think our students tell us that one of the skills they learn through the small classes and the rigorous curriculum is how to engage with adults. And therefore, they tend to kind of participate and get extra help from professors more often than many of the peers that they go to school with at some of the most prestigious colleges in the country.
Thank you, Chris. So other questions are more than welcome, but while we wait for any additional follow-up questions, Chris, I would love for you to just comment on all the things we've talked about today and our school's mission, and just kind of wrap it up for us in terms of why Heathwood.
So I'm going to kind of take that in two parts. One is, I guess what I'd say is what I look at as my mission. My mission is to create a learning environment that allows students to kind of recognize and realize who they are, and then kind of pursue those passions. So one, attracting talented, competent, passionate, energetic, funny, engaging faculty to work with children. And when I say faculty or educators, I also am referring to coaches. I'm referring to those who direct our plays. We really have an amazing array of adults here to work with your children. We have an amazing campus. We have 120 acres. It feels like you're on a college campus, and I think students learn best in kind of natural green space. And we have a chapel program where I think students ask big questions and think about how they treat others. And that's an important part of them moving forward and thinking about who they are. And then what is our mission? Our mission is to kind of help children become critical thinkers, to ask important questions, to think about others, to think about one's place in the world and how it is that they are happy, what their talents are. And I think that's one of the neat things about independent schools. Traditional school, this idea of having a strong working memory, having great oral skills, and being able to write well are things that will make students very successful. And they're skills that will propel individuals to great heights when they leave school. But there are other skills, interpersonal skills, creativity, risk-taking, impulsivity. Sometimes those skills, right, you hear them, risk-taking. You don't normally think of those as school skills, but I have been in this business long enough to know that when students come back, many of them who may have struggled in school are often wildly successful after school. And what they often credit is being in an environment where they were supported, where they felt the adults were rooting for them, and they learned about themselves because they were known by others. And so I think Heathwood does an amazing job, and it's very consistent with the schools I've been at, and it's a formula that works. Help guide students through that journey and believe in them. And I think we do that exceptionally well.
Chris, thank you. I promised I would wrap up with your next steps. So we hope everyone here has enjoyed hearing about Heathwood Hall. We hope that you feel inspired to join us on campus. So your next step is to really set up a tour and come see it with your own eyes. We would love for you to meet some teachers, administrators, and see what's happening in our classrooms. Whether you want to start with a tour or start with the application online is up to you. We are preparing in the next few months to start reviewing our applicants' files. So we would encourage you, if you are serious about pursuing admission, to go ahead and go to our website and apply to Heathwood Hall. You will receive an email in return that outlines the process, what you'll need to submit as part of your application, and next steps from there. But any questions along the way, we are more than happy to usher you through that process. So we're a phone call or an email away, whatever you choose. And without further ado, unless Suzanne, there's anything you want to add.
Well, there is something that I want to add, because tomorrow is a big event for us. It is the end of a great winning football season, and Saturday is the state cross country meet. And we have just amazing kids who are really committed to the culture of making Heathwood and themselves great. And so I wanted to give a shout out to all of our athletes who will be competing. And I think it would be appropriate for us to leave everybody with this Heathwood hype video, which we love because it showcases the hearts of our kids.
So after this video, we will end the Zoom call. So thank you for being with us. Thank you to Will and John for helping us with the tech today. And thank you, Chris and Suzanne, for sharing your love for Heathwood with all of today's participants. Go Hall.
We are Heathwood Hall. You are Heathwood Hall. We prepared you for this from the first day you stepped foot on our campus. Just like in the classroom, just like in the halls, you give your best every time, win or lose. Go out there and show them on any field, court, track that we together can't be defeated. Learn more at heathwood.org.